Hey friends, remember how I said that you wouldn't have to do a lot of drawing this week? Well, I'm holding to that promise. You're not going to have to do a lot of drawing this week. Let's talk about Jacob Lawrence for just a second here. Jacob Lawrence was born in 1917, and he was an artist who participated in the Harlem Renaissance, which was a sort of collection of Black intellectuals in artists and playwrights and poets and people like this who were all living in Harlem at the time in like the 1920s and the 1930s. And the reason this happened was because of this time called the Great Migration, which was in the early 19th century, between 1910 up until like the 1970s. 6 million Black Americans moved from the southern part of the United States to the northern part of the United States to escape Jim Crow laws being upheld and just general racism. And they collected in communities in the North, which is how you get all of the amazing Black artists and intellectuals of the Harlem Renaissance. Okay, so Jacob Lawrence did a lot of paintings just about life in Harlem. His work, you could call it abstract or cubist, but what he said was most of his work was really just inspired by the colors and the sights and the scenes of Harlem. And the reason that we're doing this saw, or I'm going to draw some other shapes to show you, is because he did a lot of paintings of people living their everyday lives and doing work, which, the work was often carpentry or construction. He does a really beautiful painting of a shoemaker. He does a lot of that stuff, but then again, he also does tons of paintings of pastors and people on the subway, families, people living their lives. That was really what he was all about and what he painted. So you can see here that I used a lot of different construction paper. You don't have to use a lot of different construction paper. You can use regular paper if you really need to, but construction paper looks the best. I tried to use a lot of different colors just to spice it up. I did another project with this, but I didn't love how it came out, so I made this one instead. So my materials were construction paper, obviously, scissors, a pencil, and a glue stick. That's just about it for materials. What I would like for you to do for this project is I would like you to have 2 tools on your project, and I would like you to use at least 3 colors while making this. So if you're using regular paper, I would just recommend coloring that whole piece of paper in, or, coloring a portion of that paper in that you then cut out and paste on your paper, if that makes sense. So yeah, let's get started. Okay, so let's get started here, guys. I have a bunch of different pieces of construction paper. Some of them are scrap or half sheets. I ran and get some more construction paper. I acknowledged before that not all of you have a lot of construction paper, so do with what you have. You don't need these full sheets. In fact, I ended up drawing things a little bit bigger than they really need to be on this paper, but I'm drawing them nice and big so you guys will be able to see what I'm drawing and do it yourself. So let's start with our first shape. The first shape is a simple rectangle, and I'm going to make it so it's sort of like a piece of wood, and then I'm going to make it with, I'm going to have the tool sort of interacting with that piece of wood, working with it, and you'll see that. You saw that in the beginning, and you'll see that at the end. I'm going to use this sheet, and you'll see I'm drawing a big saw here. I drew this too big, so don't use this whole length of construction paper. I would say make your saw closer to about 4 or 5 inches in length, even 6 inches. Yeah, like a 6-inch saw, and there it's like 9 inches. I'm also drawing a screwdriver if you want to add a screwdriver to the mix. I don't end up adding it in, but I wanted to show you how I draw it. You can see I do the top oblong part of it, and then a little lip, and then I do the metal part, the actual screwdriver. I made that too big too. Alright, I'm also showing you how to draw a wrench. It's rounded on the outside, and then on the inside you have these 2 little parts.
And then I drew some details in there, but, you know, of course it's not necessary to draw those details because then they just end up, you know, the colors end up being sort of blocks. I'm also showing you how to draw a hammer right here. And if you want, you could have the hammer sort of nailing into the wooden board that we're making. With this brown sheet of paper, I'm going to make a little table that the wood is going to sit on for this project. So I'm cutting out the top part, and then I'm going to do two like sort of smaller rectangles that are going to be the legs of my sort of table that I created here. You'll see I'm gluing those down now. I'm doing it just so I avoid having little pieces getting lost and everything. And I know that this is going to be the base of what I'm making because over top of that you put the wood and then you have all the tools interacting with it. So I'm putting my table on there right now, sort of off center because I like things off center. I don't like them always to be right in the middle of my paper. And there's my wood piece. So I'm gonna actually put a little cut in that. And the reason I'm doing that is because I'm gonna have my saw sort of slicing into this piece of wood, and I wanted a little place to put my saw. So that's why I'm putting that little dash in there. I realize here that actually I drew my saw too big. So once again, this saw that I end up drawing is about 6 inches as opposed to about 9 inches. And that'll make it so it's a lot easier to fit in the paper. So now right here, you can see I have my saw cut out. It's cute, and I'm fitting it into the wood. I'm kind of pulling that piece up. Oh, well, of course, gotta erase any details I have. And I'm sort of lifting that piece up. I had some glue on it, but there, I can fit it right in there, and it makes it look really neat, I think. I think it looks neat like this. So then you have, you know, your saw interacting with that wooden board and really making it look more like a wooden board in itself. I then decided I wanted to do my wrench. So again, I have to go and I have to draw the wrench a little bit smaller. And I'm also drawing a hexagon. The hexagon is going to be the bolt that my wrench is turning in this. So bolts are usually hexagonal, and then the wrench fits on them. I glued down my bolt first. I would actually, if you're gonna do this, glue down your bolt second. Glue your wrench first and have the bolt go over top of it. It'll just look nicer. This project may seem simple, but I had to tweak it a bunch of times so it would look good and nice and everything. So it's deceptively simple, I guess you could say. But setting it up for you, I feel like you'll have a better, you'll have a good time doing it. Alright, so I'm cutting out my wrench and then I'm going to position it around my hexagon that I have on the paper already. You can see me now positioning this around the bolt, so it actually makes sense for the way I glued the bolt on, and this is why it's not great to, you know, glue on the bolt first. And see that piece broke off, but that actually is okay with me because really this was meant to be an adjustable wrench, and with an adjustable wrench, that bottom piece moves in and out. So I end up just taking that little tiny rectangle, or sorry, little tiny triangle and gluing that back down on my paper. you may or may not know that wrench, the adjustable part of a wrench goes on the sort of circular part of the wrench, and it's like a little oval that has a screw in it that you adjust. And so I'm going to put that little piece on my wrench just for fun to indicate it that it is a adjustable wrench. I invite you to do things like that. Like even you could take the sort of the saw that you made and change up the color of the handle by cutting out another piece that looks like a handle and just doing the saw blade with the one color. So the last thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take this green construction paper and I'm going to draw a sort of stair sort of pattern across it. The reason I'm doing that is because I thought it would be kind of fun to make a decoration to go on the side. So I'm making this to sort of frame my picture. I've got two equal shapes from doing a zigzag or a stair shape around that square. And I'm going to go ahead and glue those on now. Okay guys, I am just about done. I hope you enjoy this fun little project, and I will talk to you guys soon. Bye bye.